Joining us now is the former Deputy Assistant to the President, Sebastian Gorka. Seb, welcome back to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. Anytime.
All right, Seb, let's put it to you. Gaffe or mental decline?
It's absolutely clear, Sean. This man can't do a press event, even if it's a fake one from his basement, without making some serious mistake. There are many, many reasons why this person shouldn't be running for any office, including county dog catcher, let alone president of the United States. He's one of the most corrupt politicians in U.S. history. Let's just talk about his son's multi-billion-dollar deal with the communist state. Let's talk about his Ukrainian connections, Burisma, the no-show job, $80,000 a month. Let's talk about the fact that this guy had to halt at the cancel a prior presidential campaign because he was caught red-handed plagiarizing from the British UK Labour leaders' speeches. And then the cherry on top of the sundae, Sean, this guy's not compos mentis. He has cognitive issues, and the President of the United States is in charge of our nuclear launch codes. This man should not be running for any position of responsibility. I wouldn't let him walk my dog.
Well, Seb, when Chris Wallace asked the president if he thought Joe Biden was senile, this is what he said.
Is Joe Biden senile?
I don't want to say that. I say he's not competent to be president. To be president, you have to be sharp and tough and so many other things. Vice President Biden said this. He didn't say it. Joe doesn't know he's alive, okay? He doesn't know he's alive. Do the American people want that?
So he asked Trump, or Trump said that he wanted to challenge Biden to a cognitive mental exam. Do you think that's a good strategy for Biden?
No, I can't remember the name of the Democrat strategist, but there was an individual who in the last month on a live television interview on CNN or MSNBC actually said the words, Biden's campaign is doing just fine, quote, as long as he stays in the basement. That's the only way that that campaign survives for the next 105 days. Can you imagine, Sean, if he actually debates our old boss, Donald Trump, on a live event? He will melt like the witch in the Wizard of Oz into a little puddle on the ground. It will be very fun to watch, but for most Democrats, it will be a disaster.
Seb, you brought up the Democrats. I'm not a huge believer in polls, but they do show the direction things are going in. Right now, Biden seems to be gaining in polls, especially in the battleground states. I guess you brought up the Democrats. I don't think that they care. Do they?
Yeah, this is the really important question. You nailed it, Sean. He is a lazy choice of the establishment, a guy who's been in politics 49 years, an old white guy, is the face of the Democrat Party of minorities and inclusion. This is the question. Do they really care at all? Or is it just a default setting? Is it just a knee-jerk reaction? But at the end of the day, the only question that matters, who do you trust more to save the U.S. economy and to pay back China for what they did to us and to actually secure our cities from the crazies of Antifa and the Black Bloc? Is it Donald Trump or is it Biden? I know the right answer to that question, and it has nothing to do with the corrupt old senile man hiding in his basement.
Yeah, but Seb, here's the interesting. I know the answer to that question too, and you and I have the same answer. But the thing that's interesting to me is it doesn't seem to bother Democrats, right? And so the question is this a good strategy for the Trump campaign that they should be doubling down on, or should they find a different way of attacking him? Because clearly Democrats don't seem to care.
Yeah, I think it is a good strategy because you're right. The Democrats aren't going to change their mind. It doesn't matter that they are locked in. It's the Borg from Star Trek. It's a hive mind. It is groupthink par excellence. You know better than anyone, most elections are won in the middle. We have to appeal to those people who don't watch, listen to talk radio every day, don't watch TV political commentary every day, but just want to pay their bills at the end of the month and are afraid of the anarchy on the streets of cities like Minneapolis or Seattle. So doubling down on the law and order message is the right thing to do if we want to win that center where all elections are won.
You know, Seb, while to Sean's point, while the Dems may not care either way, I mean, it seems like Biden could say whatever he wants all day long. Do you think that seniors care that Trump is trying to pin Joe Biden up as a person who doesn't have the cognitive ability to run this country? Does that offend them at all?
I don't know. I can't speak for seniors. I think seniors are probably more concerned with Democrat leaders like Governor Cuomo killing more than 6,000 old-aged Americans by sending them back to their care homes when they were found to be tested positive with COVID. So think about it, more than 6,000 New Yorkers were sent to their deaths in their nursing homes, places that couldn't treat them adequately, which is double the number of Americans who died on September the 11th. So if I were a pensioner, if I were a senior citizen, I'd be more worried about what the Democrats are going to do to me in America after the kinds of horrific things that Cuomo has done in the state of New York.
Yeah, Seb, that's a good point. I wanted to get your take real quick. Can you tell me, what did you think of the interview with President Trump and Chris Wallace?
It was an embarrassment for Chris Wallace. I mean, in the fact that you do a long-form interview for 50 minutes, and then afterwards, you go back to the studio to cut in graphics, to cut in data that you weren't prepared with when you were there, to try and gainsay the principal you were interviewing. Chris, do your bloody homework and have the data in front of you. Don't try to cheat afterwards with your post-production in the studio. It's not fair.
Yeah. No, good point. We're going to talk about this a little later, but I appreciate your take on this. All right, man. Look forward to having you back real soon.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing news channel, now in 65 million homes. Get Newsmax TV on all the major cable systems or go to newsmaxtv.com and click on the Find Newsmax tab to locate us. Remember, Newsmax TV, we're real news for real people.